Over the last 20 years, we have developed 20,000 business-to-business presentations and 600 complex bid processes for thousands of clients. And during every single one of those developments, they ask us two questions. Number one, why do they need professional help? And then secondly, why would they do that with us rather than a graphics design agency or somebody else? And the answer is you need your presentations to pass three critical tests. The first thing is your presentation is your shop window. And so you need it to be utterly impressive, more impressive than the competitions. And it's not because they will buy off you if yours is impressive. It's because they will not buy off you if yours is not. And it's a shame to lose a deal that you should win simply because you messed up the presentation and it didn't come across as being slick and professional. Gone are the days where it is acceptable for a salesperson to create his own pitch in PowerPoint. They have to be slick and professional now just to get to the same bar as everybody else. But having the best impressive presentation is irrelevant if the audience aren't paying attention. So we need to also make sure that presentations are engaging. Because if they're not paying attention, it doesn't matter how good the value proposition is, they won't be able to remember and recall it because they were checking their emails or checking their Facebook while you were giving the presentation. And then ultimately, they don't make their decision there and then. So the presentation has to be memorable because they're going to make the decision a week later, a day later, or maybe a year later. And so they're not making their decision based on anything you present. They are making their decision based on what they can remember about what you present. And over the last 20 years, we've developed intellectual property that sits behind each of these three, which means we can guarantee it. Impressive presentations really are about something we call objective quality standards. So what are the rules that you apply to presentations and to also documents that make them readable, legible, engaging, that means that the audience understand the message? And that's where you really impress people. Not with how beautiful the design is, which is what we call subjective quality, but with how intelligent the information flow is. If the audience understand what you're talking about, it's an impressive presentation. So that's OQS. Engaging is a technology we call VCD, visual cognitive dissonance, and it's a way of designing the information flows so that the audience are actually paying attention and listening to what you're saying. And all of that has to happen in an environment where we can control and manage what they remember. And so we have 5 techniques, which we call passive mnemonic processes, or CRAVE for short: chunking, relevance, association, visualization, and elaboration. All 5 of those have got sound and psychological experimentation behind them that show that individually they all double recall. And we have peer-reviewed research that shows that if you combine these techniques, you can increase recall by at least 350%. Now, why is that important? That's important because if you're in sales and you can deliver a presentation that's impressive, engaging, and memorable, you will do 3 things. Number 1, you will win more business. Most of our clients are experiencing, in fact, an increase of 1 in 3 to 3 in 4. So they go from winning about 30% of their deals to winning about 70-75% of their deals once we're coaching them. But winning more business isn't the only benefit most of our clients get. Because they're able to win more business, it means that they don't have to negotiate quite so hard, and most of them are reporting increase in profitability as well. Typically up by 1 or 2% margin points because they're not having to discount in order to win the business because the client understands the value of dealing with them. And then the other thing that they're experiencing is we're seeing a shortening of the sales cycle. It takes less time to get a decision because the client is able to make a decision much quicker. And typically that's seeing sales cycles come down from 6 months to sometimes down to 6 weeks. Perhaps not if they're in the middle of an RFP process with a set schedule, but if we're off cycle and off an RFP process, we can see people make quicker decisions faster. Again, because they're making a decision based on the value that they see in the service rather than do we like this person and is the price right. The bottom line is an effective sales presentation wins more business, makes more margin, takes less effort. And that's why people deal with us. Because at Vincis, we think winning is everything.